Hello, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I want to do a recap of Brittany and Ray in the last Love After Lockup episode, Imaginary Boyfriend. And I also want to talk about some things Brittany talked about in a recent interview she did. So in the last episode, we saw Brittany and Ray's family go pick up Ray from prison and take him to the halfway house. Of course, it kind of gave me like vibes. What was it? I think it was Christiana and John. And I've seen a couple other cast members. Like, they stress out so bad, like, if we don't make it to the halfway house in time, he's gonna go back to jail. So they took him to the halfway house. Of course, when he got out of prison, he gave Brittany a hug first, and Ray's mom's like, she's hugging my son. But you know, I think she was just playing around about it. And Ray's family waited in the car for Ray to come to them, and then it was hard for Brittany to say goodbye to Ray when they had to drop him off. But Ray, he just got out of prison. He did 3 years and 10 months, and as I talked about in a previous video, he did different pharmacy burglaries throughout the Midwest. They'd go up to Walgreens pharmacies after hours and they'd break the window or somehow break into the pharmacy drive-through window and steal a whole bunch of pills. And Ray said they would sell all the pills, and whatever he didn't sell, he would end up taking. And he said he was on pills really bad. He eventually got caught from one burglary. Actually, he got caught from multiple ones because he kept leaving his blood at the crime scene when they were trying to break into the drive-thru. He, I guess, somehow cut himself like 2 or 3 different times, and they found out it was him because of his blood. And so he ended up admitting to 6 different burglaries, and he only got charged with 1 because of that. And he also opened up and talked about how when he was 11 years old, he grew up with his mama. I think he was the oldest out of all the children, and his mom, when she was 11, she got shot 5 times in the chest and she passed away. And that really made Ray go downhill, and it really hurt him. And he says he still hasn't really faced all his feelings with that, and he feels like his life would have been different if he didn't go through that, or if he would have some answers, because to this day he still has no idea why his mom was shot or who did it, and he just wants some answers so he can have some closure. I think that's majority of the recap of them from the show. It didn't really show too much of them in the last episode. And also, I want to talk about an interview that Brittany and Rachel did with Sherelle's World. So Brittany and Rachel both did an interview together. I kind of would have preferred if it was like separate, one at a time. But they did an interview together with Sherelle's World, and pretty much, you know, they can't give no spoilers, so they couldn't really reveal much. But you know, Sherelle was asking how they got on the show, and Rachel said Doug is the one that pushed her to be on the show. And I can't remember who. I think Brittany. Oh, Brittany said she was watching the show with one of her friends, and her friend was like, hey, that could be you. And Brittany said she had no idea the producers would call her back, and she ended up emailing him, and they ended up calling her like super fast, and she was shocked. And another thing Brittany said in her interview just 2 days ago, she said she was ready to have Ray's babies, and she's gonna have all his babies. So it sounds like they're still currently together, because if she wasn't with him at present time, I don't see her talking about, oh, I want to have all his babies and have as many babies as we can. And the only other interesting parts Brittany really talked about is Sherelle asked her if there was anything she regretted about being on the show and if people were noticing her, and she said she had one person notice her the other day, and she also said that when she watched herself on TV, she's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I sounded that annoying. And the regret, she said, is she knows she gets a lot of backlash about her wigs. A lot of people call her Chevelle 2.0, and so she says she knows that her wigs weren't the best, but at the time she was just focused on getting Ray out of prison and all that. She wasn't really concerned about her wigs and her looks. But that was pretty much it for the recap of Brittany and Ray and all the interesting parts about Brittany's interview. Now I'm just going to speak real quick about the interesting parts from Rachel's interview, she didn't really say much. Like I said, she couldn't give no spoilers or anything, and like we all know in present time, Doug's moved on and got a girlfriend, but she was just kind of, you could tell, like when they're asking her, I think Sherelle said, oh, I'm so glad you guys have true love, you can tell you're in it for the right reasons and that you guys are really in love. And you could kind of tell she was like biting her lip, and she was holding herself back so hard to not say anything. So Rachel got asked about the big old thing of bologna that she got for Doug. She said Doug's prison had no bologna, and bologna is like a childhood food of Doug's that he reminds him of his childhood. And so I guess his mom must have fed him bologna sandwiches all the time when he was younger. And she also said that she had to order the bologna on the internet and get it sent to her house because they don't sell bologna that big at any of the grocery stores around her house. And also, I didn't notice this, I knew Doug was all over her before they got to the hotel, you know, and she kind of was not looking like she was into it. I guess she admitted that he was actually had his finger inside her on camera in the car, and she said she was not a fan of that. And when he was doing that, they were only 8 minutes away from the hotel, and that's why he recommended that you wear no panties. So Rachel's first inmate that she dated him, she found out he was on H. She broke up with him, and after she broke up with him, he ended up dying. I can't say the word, but from taking too much H. And she said that he used to always talk about how he was left alone in prison, and so she felt bad because of that, and so she started to reach out to inmates after he passed away, feeling like she was obligated to be there for prisoners who were feeling alone. So she also became a volunteer in a narcotics help community, and she said when Doug was in prison, she used to drive 2 hours to be present for little Doug Jr. sport games, because all of his sports, wherever he was doing them, was 2 hours away. And she said little Doug Jr. is a son to her, and they have a good relationship. And she said she used to even visit Doug's family when he was in prison, and she said she will never date another inmate. And she said the first inmate she dated, they had a lot of fun in the bedroom, and they used to get super freaky. And so she said she tried to date normal guys, but they just didn't please her in the bedroom department. She was bored, so that's why she said, another reason why she said she went after inmates, because she said in the bedroom it was a lot better. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. It would mean the world to me, and it really helps my video. And even if you hit the thumbs down button to you haters, it still helps my video. So, haha. And thank you guys so much for watching.